Welcome inside this web edition of Cuse Countdown. Syracuse taking on UNC Greensboro in the NIT tonight over at the Carrier Dome. With KJ Vaughn, I'm Kevin Ryans. And before we get into the the NIT talk and everything, Syracuse was left out of the NCAA tournament, and it rubbed a lot of fans the wrong way and everything. But I'm sure that the committee has a really good reason as to why they're not in.
Yeah, Kev, I mean, did they get snubbed is what everybody would say. I'm going to go, it depends on how you look at it, so I can go either way on this. From a quality wins perspective, yes, Syracuse got snubbed because they had 3 top 10 wins. But from an overall body of work perspective, I don't think they got snubbed. You could go either way on this team. And I think the committee ultimately boiled down to you had the 214th ranked strength of schedule overall in the nation, and you couldn't get more than 18 wins. That says something. So I think the committee thought of it as a toss-up, and they just figured, with a couple of the negatives, we will leave this team out.
Syracuse finished the season 18-14 on the season, had 6 wins in the top 50, but it was still not enough for the committee to say they're in the NCAA tournament. Now let's move on over to this game tonight. UNC Greensboro coming over from down there. A little bit of humor from the NIT as they were. I mean, they won't admit or anything, exactly. But obviously, we all know that Jim Boeheim's comments about the UNC and Greensboro hosting the ACC tournament and everything. Obviously they will not admit it, but it's a lot of fans are thinking that maybe they set up the matchup.
Yeah, it makes you wonder. But the NIT chairman said it didn't have anything to do with it. But I'm sure many Cuse fans out there are thinking, are we sure about this? Yeah. So I guess it gives you a new perspective when you're talking about the upcoming game, kind of a cool angle, if you will. All
right, well, UNC Greensboro is led by a good group of people, including some people in the backcourt and some people in the front court.
Yeah, Kev, they are led by R.J. White, Francis Alonso, and Deontay Baldwin. The front court, it's R.J. White, the center. He's a little short at 6'8", but, good size, and he can power them down low. But the backcourt is where this team is really strong. Deontay Baldwin is the senior leader on this team. He leads the team in assists and steals, and he's second in points per game, and he's a senior. So, of course, he's got that leadership. He's been there. He's done that. And then Francis Alonso, a sophomore shooting guard. This kid is really good. He played for Spain's under-20 FIBA team, and they won the whole thing, the European Cup, this last summer. And he leads the Spartans in three-point field goal shooting percentage, shooting 47% from behind the arc. That is very impressive, and he leads the team in points per game as well. So they can attack you from multiple angles, UNC Greensboro, inside and outside.
They're pretty good on the offensive boards, too. They grabbed 34% of their offensive rebounds. Alonso in the top 100 in offensive metrics in the country for people individually, so that's pretty good and something that Syracuse should definitely watch. Okay, KJ, now let's move over to the keys to the game. What do you think is the key to the game for Syracuse?
So the key to the game for Syracuse, it's shot selection. This Syracuse team has obviously taken some bad shots at points throughout the season. Now, they're at home, and they usually tend to shoot better at home, but I think with not having that same home atmosphere, the snowstorm, spring break, not all the students are going to be there, so it's going to impact the usual feel of the Carrier Dome. And if Syracuse starts taking multiple bad shots, this UNC Greensboro team can jump on them, and they will kind of compound and keep adding up. And that's what Syracuse wants to avoid. So I'd say they need to, one, work the ball inside. You mentioned UNC Greensboro grabs a lot of their offensive rebounds, but they are generally pretty short. Their, front court, I mean, their tallest guy, I think it's Hunter at 6'8". So, Syracuse has the size to kind of force the ball down low, and if they really focus on doing that, then I think they can get the win. But it's where you start getting a bad shot here, a bad shot there. That's what's going to hurt this Syracuse team in the long run.
All right, KJ, do you think Syracuse makes good shot selections? Do they win this game, move on to the second round of the NIT?
I do. I think they're going to take some good shot selections. I will say I don't think Syracuse is going to be as hot as we've seen them in the Carrier Dome previously. I have them winning 80-64. Now, it's going to be a little closer, but I think ultimately UNC Greensboro probably hasn't seen a zone like Syracuse's, and such an active defense in the Southern Conference throughout the year, and that's going to affect them. And when Syracuse can compound that on the defensive end with some good shot selection, maybe push the ball at certain times, they'll be able to get enough buckets to get rolling and get a big win in the NIT. I also want to say that Syracuse has at least something to prove, a little bit of a chip on their shoulder after being left out of the NCAA tournament. I'm sure all these players want to come out and show what they can really do, and I think that's going to help this team gel and ultimately get them the victory.
All right, well, KJ predicting a Syracuse victory. Moving on into the NIT second round, where they'll take on Ole Miss. Ole Miss, a nice victory over Monmouth the other day, and they'll be taking on them if they win the game over tonight. Follow us on Twitter at CitrusTV Sports. Also, you can give a like over on CitrusTV on Facebook. And then, of course, you can check out CitrusTV.com/sports for all of our coverage throughout the season. For KJ, I'm Kevin. Have a good night, Syracuse.